Six Nations, folks, team of the week for round number one. Kind of a weird one to pick. You could probably just pick all the Irish players because they are the only team that put in the closest thing to a complete performance. You could argue England, Italy, Wales and Scotland all kind of had a good half and a less good half, but we'll go through 15 guys plus a few honourable mentions. You guys can let us know your thoughts. I'm going to start with the props, and I'm going to go with one of the Scottish try scorers in old Pierre Schoeman as the loose head. Anytime a prop gets on the board, it's a great occasion, but he backs it up with some massive defensive efforts. 14 from 14 tackles is huge. It's the second number for loose head props this week, and he's still got 100%. Burrows over from close range, manages 9 meters. Overall, only concedes the one penalty throughout the game. So Pierre Schoeman, definitely a big asset to that Scottish side. And a Frenchman, so it's another team in blue. Uini Antonio, he was supposed to be retired. And the scrum is probably one of the better areas that the French had in a game where they got relatively well beaten at home. Doesn't concede any penalties himself. The Irish scrum certainly did concede a few. He's 4 carries in the game. He has one big carry right before Peno is able to go over before halftime, so he gets that kind of go-forward ball. Even if he's not getting meterage, he's still pushing defenders back with that big frame of his, 5 from 6 tackles. So, Antonio, great asset to that French front row. And then an Irishman in Dan Sheehan as hooker. Just continues to be class, man. Look at his numbers. He gets a try from a maul. That's great, but I mean, he's first for hookers with run meters with 22. He's first for hookers this week with defenders beaten with 3. He's the only hooker to manage a clean break. He gets 10 from 12 tackles. Very, very busy guy. Huge work rate, and him and Kelleher make quite the duo. So there's your front row. Locks, I am going to go with a guy who got man of the match, old Joe McCarthy. Jeez, his carries are just brutal. He gets 29 meters, which is second for locks this week, just behind his locking partner, Tyke Byrne. He gets 3 defenders beaten, which is first for locks this week. He's man of the match. He has 3 lineouts won, including the one that leads to the Sheehan Maul try. He clears out 3 times. I mean, geez. Massive, massive engine on him. Talk about stepping up when you've got a big-name guy like James Ryan on the bench. But, very, very pleasing. And I couldn't not put his locking partner, Tyke Byrne, with him. I mean, if not for the fact that we kind of expected more from Tyke Byrne, I might have gone with Tyke Byrne for man of the match. You could go for multiple Irish guys in that game. But, I mean, goodness me, he gets a try where he cuts through a gap as set up by his mate Crowley. He gets the most run meters for locks, the most clean breaks for locks, 7 from 7 tackles, 100%. The most line-out steals equally this week with 2. He wins 5 line-out balls. Goodness me, Tyke Byrne is incredible. But we expect it from him because he's been on the scene a lot longer than old Joe McCarthy. So, very impressive Irish lock-in duo. You guys are pretty well blessed with that area. Loose forwards, another man of the match. An old Ethan Roots from England. Old Kiwi connection with him, so that's always happy days. I mean, big old carries from him is kind of what we expect. 36 meters, very busy. Ruck work as well, very busy. Beats a couple of defenders. Wins 6 lineouts, which was the most of any of the English players. 8 from 10 tackles. Just very, very busy. High work rate. So, for a guy to get man of a match in his test debut is a hell of an achievement. So, setting the bar pretty high. A Welshman, I'm going to go with old Tommy Raffle. Leads the way with turnovers won this week, which is a stat that I am personally a big old fan of. He gets 3 of them. He hits rucks. He's got 20 meters. He beats 2 defenders. 100% tackling, 11 from 11, including shutting out the Scots from getting a potential bonus point at the end when George Horn had a wee snipe. So, Jack Morgan not there, but Tommy Raffle in great form. And then another Welshman, actually. Old Aaron Wainwright. Ended up getting man of the match, which is not an easy achievement when you're on the losing side, but I can kind of see where the selection came from because he leads the way for loose forwards this week with run meters with 65. The next best was Ben Errol with 42. He leads the way for loose forwards with defenders beaten with 5. I think he's behind only Monty Ioane overall in that category. He gets a try. which showed some real close range power. He wins 6 lineouts. He gets 12 from 12 tackles. Bloody hell. Hell of a shift. Hell of a shift. Just wasn't quite enough to get them the result. So that is the forward pack. I'm going to narrow these picks down to 5 in a separate video. And I'll be speaking to Paul Gustard if you guys want to check that one out. Probably a bit later today. 5 top players of the week. And Paul Gustard coming on to talk some defence. So look out for that one. But we'll get into the backs. An Irish player in Jamison Gibson-Park scores a try from a great offload from Bundyaki, who was equally in good form. He's the only scrum half to get a clean break this week. That'll be for the try. 24 metres, first for scrum halves, 5 from 5 tackles, 79 passes. Highlights that quick ruck speed of this Irish pack. Next best had 60. So, Gibson Park keeps that ball moving, which is the exact way the Irish bloody grind you down. Sean Edwards, the French defence coach, mentioned that just when they don't drop the ball and they're high ruck speed, or low ruck speed in terms of seconds elapsed, very, very hard to defend against, as the French found out. And alongside him, I'm going to go with, this is my second Scott, behind Schoolman, is old Finn Russell. Hell of a first half, especially, and sets up 2 of the tries. He's the only player this week to get 2 try assists, both of them for Van der Merwe. He's just got such a wee, beautiful show and go, doesn't he? The first one is literally just, I think he bamboozled, was it Costello? Yeah, he bamboozled him 100%, which is a big experience difference between those guys. Second one, pretty average kick. I think it was Thomas Williams. And then Russell, just seeing the space in front of him, he's going to take it. And then when you got a big guy like Duan van der Merwe outside you, he's going to cause some havoc. So 2 try assists, 10 from 12 tackles, a pretty good return for a guy who plays number 10. And the kicking game, a heap of kicks from hand, including a 50-22, and also the kicking from his tee. 100% from the tee this week for Russell. When the game comes down to a 1-point difference, that's what you need from your goal kicker, from your captain. He sounded really frustrated at the end that his messages weren't getting through to his players regarding discipline, and that's certainly one thing for them to work on. Midfielders, I'm going with an Italian, and I feel bad because Bundyaki was pretty bloody incredible, but Menoncello for Italy was insane. 80 run meters for a midfielder this week. The next best had 41. That's Hugh Jones. 5 defenders beaten. The next best midfielder had 2. So attacking-wise, Menoncello was absolutely incredible. He gets a try assist, forced the Daly yellow card, where Daly felt the need to kind of instinctively stick out a leg to trip him. He's got 10 from 13 tackles. He did miss 1 on Alex Mitchell, which led to a try. So he'll be disappointed with that one. But overall, man, Menoncello, very, very dangerous. And looking at Italy's attack going forward, he's certainly going to be a key man for them. And another Scot, even though he's got a Welsh name, is old Hugh Jones. We'll talk about that he might not be going to play 13, but he played 13 and he played bloody well. 13 from 14 tackles, certainly the top tackling midfielder of the week. Top run meter guy for outside centres with 41, behind only Menoncello for midfielders generally. Beats a couple of defenders, 8 carries, so yeah, really, really busy shift. Like most of the Scottish guys, the first half was where it was at, but defensively still needed in that second. Outside backs, left wing, you got to go James Lowe. I mean, it's not as flashy. You could certainly go with Duhan for scoring a couple of tries. But very rarely, like we talk about teams that kick off 9 or kick off 10. Well, Ireland's a team that kick off 11 because Lowe puts in more kicks than Crowley put in. He put more kicks through than Gibson Park. I think it was 12, 9 and 8. Lowe, with that big boot of his, is just such an asset to the Irish side. And he also gets 42 metres. He also beats a defender. He also gets into the maul that Kelleher scores. So, his involvement rate is really, really high. It's not necessarily just the kind of flashy stuff, but he can do that as well. Right wing, I'm going to go with one of the English guys in old Tommy Freeman. In an English attack that sometimes still lacks a bit of the cutting edge, Freeman is absolute cutting edge. 4 defenders beaten, 2 clean breaks. I think he had half of England's clean breaks, which does not surprise me because he was electric. He gets a try assist where he carries, gets a half break and offloads for Daly. He's got 6 from 7 tackles, 69 metres, loses his pants at one point, but he keeps on playing. So he looks really the business. I would like to see him paired up with potentially Fee Wilboso to start one game. That'd be a young, exciting wing combo, but we'll have to wait and see. And then lastly, we'll go with the English fullback in Freddie Stewart. Really safe at the back for England. High balls, he just diffused them for days. That's what he does. Like a lot of the kicking at times, sometimes for the Italians to him, just seemed the wrong option. Like, don't kick it to Freddie Stewart. He finishes beating 4 defenders, some of those from kick return. It's the top of the fullbacks this week. He's got 46 meters. He has 11 carries. Like, I don't think he missed any tackles, but like, there's one moment where he shoots out of the line. I think it might be Menoncello running at him, or was it Tommaso Allen? He shoots out of the line and kind of gets bamboozled, so he doesn't even get to make a tackle because he's too busy regathering his feet. So he's a little bit of a guy that sometimes I feel like he's good when he's going straight, but don't ask him to turn defensively. But overall, I think you'd say his involvements for England were very positive this week. Honourable mentions, I'll go through a few. Lucchese for Italy was, I think, very busy on his return to the Italian side. Cyril Bay was another one of the more impressive French guys in terms of their propping stocks. Jenkins, the captain for Wales, really huge shift from him up front. Itoje, likewise for England, barring a couple of penalties conceded at the start of the game. Very, very busy work. Breakdown, tackles, lineouts. Gabriag scored a try for France. Also defensively, very, very impressive. Clearing rucks. Doris, speaking of clearing rucks and whatnot, very busy. Sets up a try himself. Lamaro was one of the better tacklers this week. Ben Earl also had kind of continued impressive numbers from the World Cup. Nick Tompkins in that Welsh midfield was also pretty busy. Helped set up a try as well. Aki is maybe the number one guy that I feel like I've kind of omitted here because he was bloody incredible. Slade for England also helped set things up. Likewise, Brex, his hands in the build-up to a few moves certainly assisted the Italian attack. Nash took his opportunity well. Kind of been hard to get minutes with Mac Hansen out in the wing, but Calvin Nash did really well. Rio Dyer also looked dangerous for Wales. Van der Merwe got a couple of tries for Scotland. Monty Ioane scored a great try at the end for Italy and took a couple of high balls really well. I could go on and on, but that is the team of the week. Like I said, a top 5 players video coming later with Paul Gustard, so check that one out too. Do you know I speak Chinese? If you don't believe me, I've done so, even wearing a Leinster jersey. Check that video out. Me in China, Leinster jersey, speaking Chinese. Something different. That's 2 cents on tour. You guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.